Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. With previous episodes 216 from March 2nd and 218 from last week, March 16th, I've shared some of my experiences with and taken you on several room tours at the 2025 Florida International Audio Expo. Today, we'll dive into the highlights of my top 5 rooms at the 2025 show. For clarity, all system pricing information is provided in today's description section. First, we start with room 451, sponsored by Ball Audio Distribution and System Solutions, Margules Audio, and Deep Dive Audio of Palm Bay, Florida. I've known Bruce Ball, the principal of the recently organized Ball Audio Distribution and System Solutions, or BADAS for short, from my decade spent covering the Consumer Electronics Show held in Las Vegas annually. His featured product lineup includes those of Margules Audio, located in the Roma Notre region of Mexico City, Mexico. I've also had the pleasure of knowing Julian Margules since we met in the late 1990s, when the first Margules Audio product I reviewed, the Margules FZ47DB Phonostage, was published in the fall of 1999. Margules has been manufacturing electronics since the 1920s, and Julian Margules, the third-generation company leader and product designer, now helms the company. The Margules flagship line of products, featuring several of their 30th anniversary special editions, were the focal points of this system. This series of products are all made by hand and crafted to employ their specific design philosophy, an innovation they refer to as ANA, a trademarked anagram for their acoustic neurologic alignment. This technology focuses on how we as humans process and perceive sound. The ANA approach prioritizes the recreation of the critical harmonic structure of the musical envelope the products render, rather than merely focusing on their fundamental tonality. The sound generated in this room was beyond merely natural and engaging. It was seductive. Listening to LP tracks like Tattoo from Janis Ian's milestone record Breaking Silence was delivered with remarkable detail and definition, realistic space and scale, and laden with engaging and honest timbre and texture. Listening to The Man with Glasses from the Jane Ira Bloom LP Mighty Lights delivered the shimmer and sparkle of the piano with an ease and composure that was enchanting. This system was lucid and detailed, delivered excellent extension at both extremes, with refined texture and scaling, markedly neutral tonal balance, and honestly sized and shaped sound staging and imaging information. Here, good recordings were routinely brought to life. What a captivating system. Moving from the 4th to the ground floor, we start with Brandon 2, sponsored by Supreme Acoustic Systems. I was thrilled to get some FaceTime with my longtime audio bud and colleague, Gary Lee, now the COO of Supreme Acoustic Systems, a relatively new audio distribution firm based in Las Vegas, where Gary makes his home. As I've given up covering the pathetic excuse that CES has become in regard to their interest in and support of high-performance audio, I don't get to see him very often these days. Visiting this room to audition this exotic and superb system also allowed me to catch up with and say hello to yet another colleague and friend, Duncan Taylor, YG Acoustics marketing manager. This room was a take-no-prisoners assault on music recreation, featuring several new pieces of electronics from Western Electric, as the yet unpriced 116C Phonostage and 95A line stage. They were also using 2 pairs of the 97A mono amps, each with 8 Western Electric 300B valves per chassis, to bi-amplify the flagship 4-tower YG Acoustics XV3 signature loudspeakers. Oh, and the sources were nothing to sneeze at either. With the Bergman analog and Tyco Olympus front ends, LPs and files were given voice. Yeah, this system performance was nuts. Copious and rich textures, bold and vivid tone color, and a soundstage you could just about go walk around in. This system delivered the musical goods. With blistering, effortless, and seemingly unrestricted dynamic scaling, delivering all source music with crystalline clarity, rife with expansive definition, and remarkably fast and articulate pitch definition, this system was the epitome of speed, tonality, and power. Nice job, gang. Next on this top 5 rundown, we visit Salon 1, sponsored by Next Level HiFi of Wayne, Illinois, and Audio Group Denmark. I don't think Michael Borison, Audio Group Denmark's co-founder and prolific designer, ever sleeps, judging by the number and performance of the near endless stream of new products he continues to develop and introduce. The exhibit in Salon 1 introduced a near all-out assault featuring some new flagship-level products offered from several of the Audio Group Denmark product lines. Featuring the AVIC U588, the pinnacle of the new X88 series of streamer DAC preamps, it handed off to a new AVIC P588 power amplifier, a series inspired by the acclaimed 880 series flagship models. This system drove the star of the new T-series of loudspeakers, the majestic T5 Silver Supreme Editions, which replaced the aging-out original 05 SSEs. While the new T3s were on static display at the rear of the room, listeners who made it into this remarkable listening space were in for a real treat. The team of Next Level HiFi and AGD pulled out all the stops, staffing the room with truly engaging and knowledgeable hosts, from AGD co-founder Lars Christensen to their North American sales manager, Peter Hansen, or by Next Level HiFi's owner, Tyler Mueller, to their general manager, Joshua Jendryka. Regardless of whom was driving the playlist, this room featured only streaming, the hosts made sure that this room presentation was yet another testament to the exceptional balance of transparency and musicality that is a common result with any combination of AGD products. You may recall what I had to say about the results accomplished by the Access series of electronics, speakers, and ancillaries earlier in room 455 in E219. I've enjoyed the good fortune of auditioning both the $11,000 Borison X3s as well as the $280,000 Borison M3s in my reference listening room. One of the sonic attributes that the entire Borison loudspeaker lineup offers, at all prices, is a level of resolution that is exceptional. This shared trait among the loudspeaker lineup, and their Access and AVIC electronics lineup as well, affords a level of transparency that is disarming for most listeners, and most likely unprecedented, especially from products in their same respective price ranges. Further, the T5, with the implementation of the in-house designed and fabricated 8-inch Borison iron-free 8 drivers, 4 per enclosure, ensures that the impact, extension, and scaling from this new model is, well, pretty much unimpeachable. And while I'm just touching the surface of the technologies that they implement in this loudspeaker, I urge you to go to the Borison Acoustics website and dive into just how much effort, engineering, and technology goes into all these products. Simply put, AGD, in partnership with their largest and oldest dealer, Next Level HiFi, knocked it out of the park with this presentation. I hope you got to hear them. Next, we move to Salon 3, sponsored by Clarisys Audio. This system was, well, insanely expensive, with a retail price of over $2 million. As such, you might imagine just how its reception by showgoers and manufacturers alike may have been seen to be a somewhat polarizing experience. Seeing the enormous 6-panel Clarisys Audio Atrium loudspeakers is almost overwhelming. But listening to the exceptional sonic amalgam they achieve, with the use of their 3 uniquely fabricated proprietary ribbon driver panels, with a discrete subwoofer, mid-bass, and treble panel per channel, each one housed in cabinets crafted from premium materials, fabricated for stability and acoustic neutrality, is a nearly unparalleled experience. The musical result could be staggering. Though there were some fine analog sources in the system, including a flagship VPI Vanquish turntable setup, which used the VAC statement Phonostage, and a vintage Studer A810 open reel deck, I never heard either of them during any of my visits. I did hear the results they produced using the PinkPhone Streamer, MSB Cascade DAC to regenerate digital files. The sources were then directed to the VAC statement line stage and then sent on to 4 of the new VAC statement 455 IQ music block amplifiers. More detail on these dynamos in the VAC room coverage next. Everything was hitched together using the Hydro reference series of cabling from Signal Projects. I support my 2 local symphonies, in part to enjoy the remarkable beauty of live, unamplified music. But my symphonic patronage also allows me to routinely calibrate my hearing so that I may be able to make the most accurate assessments as to the authenticity, faithfulness, and accuracy of the sound created by the electromechanical playback systems I am routinely asked to evaluate. And while I can understand why some would simply scoff at or shake their heads at the remarkable excess and expense of such a system, it presented one of the most precise, dynamic, and corporally believable or credible musical tapestries that I've ever heard under show conditions. Very impressive indeed. Lastly, we visit the Palm Room, sponsored by the Valve Amplification Company, Acora Acoustics, and Scott Walker Audio. The large primary section of the Palm Room, just beyond the entryway from the narrow foyer-esque area that runs the length of the main space, housed the system quite similar to the one that VAC and Acora Acoustics had put together in the Potomac Room at last November's Capitol Audio Fest, but with a few differences. First and foremost, this system featured the world premiere of the new VAC Statement 455 IQ music block amplifiers. This newest member of the Statement line enjoys a return to the more classic horizontal chassis configuration, much more along the lines of the original Statement 450 IQ or the Master 300 IQ, and away from the remarkable vertical architecture departure first explored by the original 450i IQ integrated amplifier and then the Statement 452 IQ music blocks, both of which I've had the pleasure of reviewing here in my room. And while interviewing Maestro Kevin Hayes at the VAC factory in Sarasota the Tuesday after this show, the founder, president, and designer of the Valve Amplification Company shared that while that distinctive vertical architecture offered many native advantages, such as the management of the ground runs and gravity-based damping of the valves themselves, the horizontal configuration affords him the advantage of having more real estate to work with, permitting more even weight distribution, the implementation of changes to the power supply to allow addressing the electromagnetic interactions among the components, and perhaps as many as a dozen more other minor, yet synergistic, revisions to his design. And damn, what a payoff. LP transcription for this event was managed by the VPI Avenger Direct Statement, using their 3D printed 12-inch Fatboy Tonearm, fitted with the overachieving Hana Umami Red MC cartridge. Digital files were rendered using an Orender streamer and a flagship Abendroit Colt DAC. Electronics featured both the VAC Statement Phonostage and Line Stage, feeding a pair of these new, advanced VAC Statement 455 IQ music block amps in mono configuration to drive the flagship Acora Acoustics VRC loudspeakers, finished in the extremely limited and vibrantly attractive Sunset Fire granite. The VRC is the flagship loudspeaker from Acora Acoustics founder and designer Valerio R. Cora, and perhaps, not so coincidentally, has taken his initials as its name. As a three-way bass reflex design, the VRC uses a 1 1/4 inch beryllium tweeter, flanked above and below by a pair of 4.5 inch mid-ranges near the top front of its truncated pyramidic enclosures, with a pair of 12 inch woofers located centrally near the lower section of the front baffle. Most of my time listening to this room was with very familiar LP playback, specifically during the nearly 4 hours of my after-hours curated LP session held Saturday night. That event not only enjoyed a remarkably good and enthusiastic turnout, but I was honored to see that the audience included many of my colleagues and friends, including industry luminaries like Frank Doris and Michael Fremer. Not only were these folks good enough to attend the event, but most chose to stay for the duration. And in fact, Michael was kind enough to share a test pressing he had with him of what may become a 2LP 45 RPM UHQR pressing of the Who's Next. As I am fond of saying, that pressing did not suck. Thank you for sharing, Michael. And thanks to everyone who found the time to attend and make the event such a success. But this state-of-the-art system, in this setup, driven with the contributions of this VPI front end and the remarkable new VAC 455 IQ music block amps, was delivering on an even more refined, more highly engaging level than the superb performance I had noted in Rockville last November. The system presented with an enhanced degree of texture, rendered with very liquid, luxuriant tonality. Overall, its ability to project the foundation, the drive and power of whatever music I played, was not only exceptionally well represented, but it was downright infectious. Both the air and space of the musical tapestry the system portrayed when playing tracks like The Low Spark of High-Heeled Boys from the Traffic LP of the same name, or Walk Away Renee from the 1983 10-inch EP from Ricky Lee Jones, A Girl at Her Volcano, were recreated in a manner much more convincingly ethereally, more corporally, than I have ever heard from previous presentations by these partners. This system almost seemed to breathe, to more clearly and effortlessly uncover and present the presence of each recording, recreating microdynamic events with remarkable specificity and elevated nuance. The exceptional performance turned in by this system was utterly magical and was simply the most vibrant and vital they have ever delivered at any event I have had the honor of attending. Bravo, Kevin, Val, Matt, and Scott. Well, this concludes my coverage of the Florida International Audio Expo. And when this episode first drops, if my flight didn't get delayed, canceled, or go down, I'll be enjoying the final day of the second Southwest Audio Fest in Dallas, Texas. Reports on that event will follow shortly, so stay tuned. As always, thank you for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my companion website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.